The Sack Cutter by Nikki Noir and S.C. Mendez. I drive marvelous people to marvelous places in a marvelous way. From the back seat, Johnny looked at the rearview mirror. Come again? The driver's sparkling green eyes connected with his briefly, then returned to the road. You're Johnny Troutman, right? I am. Johnny hadn't expected recognition today, but he was always ready for a fan. He flashed his camera smile. Is that part of your SPA routine? Heck yes, sir. See it, prepare for it, affirm it. I submerge myself in SPA daily. And she pulled a note card from inside her suit jacket pocket. I practice the be, do, have method for each of these affirmation goals, which I recite 3 times a day too. I'm impressed. Claire? He said, looking at the driver details on his phone app. Johnny leaned to the side for a better view of the woman, realizing he had ignored almost every detail as he hopped into the Uber, and gave a rehearsed greeting. At only 150,000 subscribers across platforms, Johnny was able to afford a luxurious life while rarely running into his followers day to day. After the mechanical hello, Johnny dived into his phone for the flight itinerary, assuming this was just another ride-share crap car and basic driver. Now, though, his fingers slid over the seats, appreciating the immaculate leather of the Lexus. There were even bottles of water in the seat backs. The woman was quite attractive, too. Seems like you're finding success with my content. In the rearview mirror, a smile exploded across Claire's face. Heck yes! Oh, good. Otherwise, this could have been an awkward drive. They both chuckled. I don't see how anyone couldn't find your teachings helpful. Don't get me wrong, it's difficult at first to form new routines and thinking patterns. You want to give up. At least, I know I did. I wanted to quit so badly. But you gotta keep faith and keep hustling, and your best life really does manifest. Her voice started to quiver, like a shoddy beaver dam about to break. You can't imagine what things were like for me. You changed my life, saved me. Claire was talking a mile a minute, so Johnny just smiled, waiting for her to get all the emotion and thoughts out. He found it best to let women talk without interruption, especially when they were praising him. I'm sorry, she said. You must be like, who's this crazy Uber driver? I bet you get this kind of fangirl thing every day. You don't need it from me. I'm sorry. My lips are sealed till we get to the airport. Don't apologize. Johnny waved it off with his hand. I'm honored my work has had such a positive impact on your life. Thank you for allowing me to serve you. And I you. When this is all over, I hope you'll honestly rate me so I know if there's anything I can improve. Improve? This Lexus is beautiful. You have water bottles for passengers. The temperature is ambient. Everything's perfect. Or should I say, marvelous? Always over-deliver, right? In my experience, I found that's the way to go. Keep giving, and eventually you'll manifest your big break. I think I just did, Claire whispered so low he almost didn't hear it. What's that? Positivity gurus get a lot of flack, same as multi-level marketing like Mary Kay and Herbalife, but it really works. Today proves it. When you sat down, I went from 99% certain to not a shred of doubt that the universe listens. Sorry, I'm rambling again. Her face blushed, and her hand went to the glove box. She passed him back a flyer. You, the timing, everything. It may seem silly, but when else am I going to have a chance to show off my big dream to the man who inspired me to change? Limos and ladies. Johnny read the front of the color advertisement. Clever name. I went from depressed dropout to marvelous Uber driver thanks to your motivational content. And now, I'm going to be my own boss. No more driving. I bought 4 limos, hired 4 accident-free ladies, and I couldn't have done it without you. 5-minute manifestations, vision boards, goal setting, hustle. I bought it all and it finally paid off. She took a deep breath and let out a satisfied sigh. I launch on Monday. Today is officially my last day driving for Uber. And of all people, Johnny Troutman is my final fare. She giggled. And people still think there are things like luck and coincidences. Everything happens for a reason, Johnny agreed, shifting in his seat so she could see more of his winning outfit in the mirror. Sounds like you and I have similar beginnings. Depressed and fed up with life. And now we see the light and receive our blessings from the universe. I know the reason. It's so I can thank you, return the favor. A glossy film of tears threatened her eyes, and now it was him fighting to keep the grin from overtaking his face. This was the kind of chick he could have eating out of his hands. She'd already swallowed his seed deep and was no doubt vomiting hustle culture cliches and Instagram quotes all day long. I wish I could. Even if he was willing to postpone his flight, all pussy except Lindsay's was off limits. That was part of the promise to himself until this business venture ended. Especially a young woman like Claire. Banging a die-hard follower would damage his brand and future business. That's why he had Lindsay. He prayed she lasted 2 more years. By then, he would be 35 and would have made enough money to retire from the guru game. But already he worried the sights in Vegas would make Lindsay look like yesterday's leftovers. Well, from the bottom of my heart, you're welcome. He bowed to the rearview mirror. How rude of me. I should be asking about you. What marvelous place are you off to? An amazing conference, I'm sure? If I were, I would offer you front row tickets to show my appreciation. But alas, I'm off to Michigan to check on my goddaughter. After my sister passed, I've been doing what I can to make sure Evelyn has a positive adult male influence in her life. That's beautiful. So much cooler than a dime a dozen conference for entrepreneurs. You really are an amazing guy. There was definitely a suggestive tone. Damn. She probably was open to a quick and secretive fuck. Still, he couldn't risk it. He could use the knee sly and keep Claire as an iron in the fire for the future. Johnny never posted his real life to social media, and it wasn't likely his 150,000 subscribers would see him at the MGM Grand for the fight. This way, if Claire still idolized him once he hung up his career hat and Lindsay, she could be a wonderful fling. But at the moment, sex with the young, seductive Uber driver was a no-no. He'd probably cut his trip short after the fight, head home to Lindsay to squash these desires springing up. It was the whole unspoken point of their relationship. He provided her with a cushy life, and she fulfilled his sexual fantasies and kept quiet. Get me off, so I don't get myself in trouble with groupies. Since I can't offer you conference seats, here's the next best thing. He took a card from the special divider of his card case. The card's for irons. Next time you're in Houston and you have time, text me and we'll meet up for lunch. I'll need to hear all about the success of limos and ladies. He leaned forward with the card as the car stopped at a red light. Claire turned to take it. Then he lost consciousness. You're back! The chipper voice vibrated the base of his skull, exacerbating the pain already seeping into his head. Johnny blinked a few times, adjusting to his surroundings, though there was not much to see. He was in a bare room, cold, and on a bed. The airport, Uber, that voice. Claire? You remember my name! She stood over him now, sporting another wide smile. Her generic chauffeur outfit was gone, and a black apron hung from her neck. But do you remember who I am? You were driving. What happened? Car accident? Johnny attempted to shield his eyes from the overhead light for a better look, but couldn't move. I safely deliver clients where they need to go. For 4 years, I saw that goal in my mind's eye, prepared for all my success, affirmed my spotless driving record. I don't get into accidents. Not in my reality. That's great, but... Wait, what the fuck? He looked down to find his wrists tied to something under the bed. A corset was pulled tight against his bare chest. Although his shirt was missing, Johnny was still clothed in his pants, socks, and shoes. No, I'm hallucinating. I hit my head. This is a dream. Relax, Claire said, pulling up a chair and sitting next to the bed. Don't put yourself in a vibration of fear. Where am I? A secret place the universe showed me. Not funny, Claire. Why am I tied up? So you can't get away? Before, there had been confusion, concern over the unknown. Johnny assumed there would be a logical explanation for the misunderstanding, though. Now, her words squashed any hope of that. The pain in his head vanished, and Johnny's attention narrowed to survival. Claire? He said, fighting to keep his voice calm, trying to remember crisis techniques from his psychology training. Please, help me understand what's going on. 1 minute, we're in your car, exchanging marvelous ideas, and now this. Don't judge the experience, Johnny. Accept it as part of the reality you manifested, your desire. That I manifested? Claire, you're kidnapping me. You know that's not how life works. Claire, I did not want this, Johnny said, keeping his voice firm but calm. I wanted a ride to the airport. I wanted to go to... There are no accidents. Your subconscious mind wants this, even if your conscious mind doesn't. That's why we attracted each other today. I wanted to thank you, and deep down you want someone to save you from yourself. The double life, the lies. Save me? His exterior cracked, and Johnny flopped on the bed, pulling against the ropes binding his wrists. I saw your flight itinerary. You weren't going to Michigan. Who cares where the fuck my plane was going? You really need to relax. In this vibration that... Don't tell me what to do! Fine. Claire held up her hands. You're the guru. Help! Somebody! Johnny strained to lift himself from the mattress, seeing the open door behind her, hoping his words would find their way outside to waiting ears. You should know that isn't going to help. This cabin is almost to the Sabine forest, miles of nothing but lush trees. Claire produced a long butcher knife from the pocket of her apron. Seeing the blade, Johnny suppressed the anger and fear boiling in equal measures. She was insane, and if he was going to stop her from using the knife, he needed to get his emotions under control. Johnny breathed as best he could remember from all the yoga and meditation techniques he touted to followers, but didn't practice himself. You're right, Claire, Johnny said, his confident facade slipping back in charge. I must want this. Help me understand how we can fix this. Well, we need to identify the problem first. You still don't know who I am, do you? Please understand. I meet marvelous people like you every day. I can't remember everyone. I savor the moment I spend with them in whatever capacity that is. Dinner, a ride to the airport, someone fixing a broken appliance in my home, and then I must move on. I'll give you some hints. I'm not a native Texan. I'm an MCC Thunderbird. Well, I was. Never graduated. Say, didn't you go to Mesa Community College? No, he said, mentally rewinding the years to formulate a response. But I did work near the MCC campus. Those are my roots. I was at a real rundown bar. But like you, I'm somewhere much happier now. I set goals, visualized, acted as if, affirmed it, and manifested my best life. How coincidental we both ended up here in Texas. Everything happens for a reason. Her voice was flat and chilling. Uncle Monkey's wasn't that miserable, was it? At the mention of his former campus bar employment, the corset felt like it contracted. Was she a psycho fan stalker who knew every aspect of his life? Or was she a customer when he tended bar there? Maybe he shouldn't have said run down. You know Uncle Monkey's. Cool. Maybe you could untie me and we could talk about the place. Johnny chuckled nervously. He could still salvage this situation. Now that he was calm again, there was a chance for negotiation. No, you're right. Uncle Monkey's was run down. An unhappy place with unhappy drunks. Easy grounds for smooth-talking bartenders to con a sad, confused freshman. Oh, shit. Confused freshman. Sadly, that didn't narrow down Claire's identity, but it did reveal how she knew him. Before he entered the field of personal development, Johnny's passion was bartending and sport fucking. From the moment he left his parents' house until his 26th birthday, 19-year-old freshies like Claire weren't individuals to Johnny. They were his M.O. Anywhere he went, he found lonely, broken females, and they flocked to his voice. When he decided to use his natural charm and oratory skills to increase his accumulation of wealth instead of pussy, he joined the hustle culture and growth mindset cult of personal development. The new career was a guaranteed moneymaker, and even though he had a new persona and stage name, Johnny was aware his past, if discovered, could pose a potential problem. It's why he didn't want the status of Tony Robbins or Chucky V. There was almost no escape from that level of fame. Leading with this past weakness in mind was part of his marketing plan to proactively deal with any hot water when that day arrived. He never claimed to be a saint in any of his courses, and although Johnny remained silent on the specific addictions and problems of his youth, in all content referring to his past and how he rose to manifesting wealth, health, and happiness, he simply alluded to overcoming personal demons through the daily SPA routine and his be-do-have method. Over the last 2 years, his popularity grew, and he continually reminded himself that it wasn't illegal to be a womanizer. All the girls he'd bagged back then were over 18 and had consented. He did nothing wrong. His actions were frowned upon, sure, but he couldn't land in jail. So he just practiced PR spins in case accusations ever attempted to ruin his career. Now they might come in handy to save his ass in a different way. Time for Operation Reformed, he thought. Oh, yes, I do remember you, he said, although her name and face were still just a notch on his mental bedpost. I'm so sorry. You have every right to be furious with me. Manipulation for sexual intimacy is wrong. My actions back then were wrong. Those were the demons I battled in pursuit of my best self. I'm thankful that I'm no longer that person anymore. I don't know if I believe that. Claire tapped the butcher knife against her pursed lips. If you've learned your lesson, life wouldn't have sent you to me. I have a serious girlfriend. Her name is Lindsay. Surely you've seen our pictures together. Yes. You look like the came-with-the-frame couple. Sickeningly cute. I have my own ideas of what purpose she serves. Purpose? Like gay men who get married? She's a girlfriend for hire, so no one accuses you of scamming women still. Does the poor girl know what she is? Or does she think she actually means something to you? Claire, please, be reasonable. All signs point to me being a changed man. Lindsay and I are very committed. Things are rarely as they seem. But you're right. There's only one way to ensure that you're telling the truth. Claire pulled the gray slacks from his thigh and stuck the blade through the fabric. The blade tore through the leg of his pants easily. Johnny yelped, then held his breath as she cut away his trousers and boxer briefs. Within 2 minutes, his cock and balls were exposed, framed by the remaining shreds of clothing. Johnny was too scared to worry about how pathetic his genitals looked, shriveled with a week's worth of hair growth since his last shave. Are you happy, now that I'm humiliated? Are we even? This isn't about getting even. I honestly want to help you, but it's going to be a struggle for both of us. The struggle is important, though. Did you know that when a caterpillar is in the cocoon, transforming, there is immense struggle and pain? Before I dropped out of my first and only year at MCC, my bio teacher showed us a time-lapsed video of the chrysalis and the butterfly fighting to get out. The sides of the sac pulsed so violently I could feel the poor butterfly's pain. I wanted to take a tiny blade and put the smallest of slits in the cocoon, peel it back, and help the creature get out of it quicker. But do you know what happens if you do that? Claire, you aren't making any sense. Stop saying my name as if you give a shit about me. Claire stabbed the bed, just below his exposed genitals. The mattress tore and Johnny howled, pulling himself as far away from the blade as he could. I'll stop! Didn't I tell you to calm down? Bad things are attracted to fear. Okay, I'm calm. Johnny tensed his body to stop the tremors. I'm just trying to understand why you're doing this to me. I'm trying to explain, but I need you to listen and focus. Claire placed the weapon on the ground. After you used me and threw me to the curb, it took a long time to get my life together. I researched a lot of spiritual paths and personal development courses. While they're all a bit different, they do have many similarities. One being this idea that energy flows through centers in the body, all metaphysical, of course, like chakras, and how unbalances in chakra energy can really ruin a person's demeanor and actions. Like Santa's magic bag, Claire pulled another object out of her apron. With a flick of her thumb, a purple vibrator buzzed to life. You don't teach about energy centers in your courses, but I think they're real. I feel changes in my being and actions whenever I meditate on them. Today, we're going to align your chakras so you won't hurt women anymore, even through your subconscious behaviors. I'm giving you the gift of true change to thank you. It's what your infinite self wants. Johnny's charming tongue fell useless. He stared at the crazy bitch, mouth gaping, brain overloaded with trying to figure out what the hell was happening next. The root chakra is your foundation, Claire said. It's tied to your feelings of stability, safety, and your essential needs being met. I sense this is the point of your first blockage. Claire pointed the vibrating toy at his crotch. We're gonna open that chakra up a bit. This is not how the law of attraction or chakras work. Each of us must go through hell to find our heaven, but I'll try to be as gentle as possible. Claire spat on the toy, rubbing it up and down. You're sick. Me? I'm not the one who may be lying to thousands of people about who I really am. She took hold of his cock and balls, lifting them. I told you! I changed! Johnny clenched his anus and tilted his pelvis into the bed. We'll see. He fought her attempts to insert the vibrator into his ass until she squeezed his balls. His gut exploded in nauseous pain. I know this isn't easy, she said, hand gripping his junk firmly. Changing your negative traits hurts as much as coming off a drug, I'm sure. I never had to kick a substance addiction, but I've heard stories. Rebuilding my self-esteem a little each day seemed like a similar hell. Miserable, both physically and emotionally. Unable to stand the pressure any longer, Johnny unclenched his sphincter and Claire released his balls. He did his best not to wriggle as the semi-wet toy was inserted into his rectum. Johnny had taken slender fingers and tongues in his ass before, but this was different. The vibrator working his ass felt like shitting in reverse. It wasn't painful, but it wasn't pleasurable. Ass play, or root chakra work, as I like to call it, can be extremely pleasurable, activating, and healing. Once you feel the safety and security flowing through you, you'll be able to enter into healthier romantic relationships, not manipulative power plays of sex. Johnny kept his eyes on the ceiling, praying for it to be over soon. Let her humiliate him. As long as he could get out alive, the real battle would come later. Next, the sacral chakra, the seat of all things sexual and creative. Rather than blocked, this chakra is way too open on you. Claire laughed and pulled out an iron contraption that looked like a suit of armor for a penis. We need to put some restrictions on your passion. No more compulsive sexual behaviors, you predator. I'll quit, Johnny whimpered. You're right. I have no business coaching other people. I'll take down all the videos, remove the books. No more personal development guru. No more teaching. You still don't get it. I don't want you to quit, Johnny. Claire clamped his balls and flaccid member into the male chastity device. You really do have the chance to help millions of people. Affirmations and positive thinking aren't bullshit. Claire stepped back to admire the contraption on his genitalia. Like the vibrator, it didn't hurt, but it wasn't pleasant. After I started personal development, I got into Eastern philosophies, she continued. Then I studied the brain and neuroplasticity and evolutionary traits. There is an element of truth behind your teachings, whether you know it or not. In the beginning, a lot of the work is mechanical, feels foolish and untrue, especially positive affirmations like, I'm good enough, people respect me. But when it becomes natural to say those things, that's when the change happens and you grow. I want you to keep preaching and helping motivate others. If you're a true believer, aren't you worried about the karma involved in this? Karma is all about intent, and my intent is pure. Soon yours will be too. She pointed to his chest. Have you guessed why the corset helps? My pec chakra's out of whack, he sneered. You must be fixing its posture. Now you're getting it. The corset is the only thing I could think of to keep the solar plexus, the heart chakra, bound, and there was no way I could put it on with you conscious. With this chakra too open, you've probably been obsessing over your vanity in an unhealthy way And it's a big factor in your dominating and toxic personality, rather than the strong, supportive personality you could be. Claire stepped back and appraised him like a piece of art. Johnny looked away, scared of how much more was still to come. "Say cheese!" He looked back and Claire was walking around him, snapping pictures with her cell phone. "Now the truth comes out. I should have known it was blackmail." "I don't want money." Claire sat on the bed, resting the knife tip on the soft skin where his throat met his chest. 2 years ago, when I first tried manifesting this moment, I visualized opening your throat chakra with this. She pushed the tip of the knife a bit harder, then pulled it away. Johnny could feel a pearl of blood drip from the tiny prick. His mind was numb. Words didn't feel like they could save him anymore. "You never answered my question." She moved the knife to his forehead, just above his nose and between his eyes. "Do you know what happens if you cut into the butterfly's cocoon too early?" He tried to look away again, and the knife scratched him, but not deep. Claire grabbed his jaw, forcing him to look into her eyes. "If you cut the sac too early, even to help, the butterfly that emerges will never fly. They just sit on the tree branch until death. The struggle inside the cocoon actually pumps fluid into their wings, which helps the wings expand, strengthen, and develop. My bio teacher explained that if you cut them out early, that entire process of development would be lost, hence robbing the creature of flight. Had he not told me, I wouldn't have known. I could have done such a thing by accident." "Claire, think about—" She pushed the blade into his third eye chakra, same as she'd done with his throat. "I think you knew exactly what you were doing when you cut my sac. When you cut Julie Aguilar's, Andrea Cosimore's, Michelle Sin's. I found a laundry list of girls when I started looking. I wanted to manifest you so I could open up this third eye of yours, too. Give you a little speech on speaking your inner truth before stabbing you to death. That was wrong, though. When I changed my intention to one of helping you, not vengeance, the universe granted my reality. After all, you really did change my life." The blade pulled from his head, and Johnny could now feel his quickly cooling piss wet the mattress. "Ugh, yuck." Claire stood from the bed. "What happens now?" he whimpered. "The butterfly needs to undergo the struggle in the cocoon to be able to fully realize his potential and beauty. Struggle strengthens humans, too. Had you not manipulated and hurt me, kicked me when I was already depressed and down, then I would not have hit rock bottom. I needed that before I could rise." She stood and smiled compassionately. "Hopefully, this little adventure has been enough struggle to induce you to change, assuming you are still that same bartender deep down. If I hear of you manipulating another young girl, using them as a cum dump, if you break up with your serious girlfriend without compassion and decency, I release these photos to the world, and the ensuing media storm of Johnny Troutman, self-development guru and sex bondage fan, will be enough struggle to change you. No one is going to believe I asked for you to do this." "Don't be so sure. Some of the picture angles are debatable. A quick adjustment in Photoshop, and suddenly you look like you're enjoying yourself." Claire winked. "What's the problem? Just don't manipulate vulnerable people and situations for sex with lies, and these will remain hidden in my phone forever. Deal?" Johnny looked down at the corset, chastity belt, and vibrating anus. "I get to leave?" Claire nodded. "Deal." Claire smiled, then bent down and turned off the vibrator. Pulling it from his ass, she placed it to the side and began unclamping his chastity armor. Once a little time goes by, the sharp edge of this trauma may blunt. So I suggest SPA and be do have to help your fortitude. And if you ever get the idea that these pictures aren't so bad—" Claire looked at him with those green eyes of fiery intensity. "You're going to have no defense for the ones I took while you were still unconscious. Trust me. Be good. Be true." "Wait," he said as she walked to the door. "Untie me." Claire took a Clorox wipe from the apron and cleaned the knife. She placed it on the bed just out of reach from his tied hand. "I'm not sure when this cozy cabin is being rented out next, but I'm sure you can manifest your way out before then." She smiled and returned to the door. "Namaste, Johnny."